forward in an attempt to de-escalate the situation. That has not happened here. It looks like a pit maneuver is about to happen, and it is happening now. Mark Kono and Sky 5, tell us what's happening.
Frank and Jess, yeah, here we go. Pit maneuver here. This is going to be on Slauson. Slauson, you saw him turn right on Slauson from northbound on Norwalk here. And so now they were authorized to pit this guy just moments before while they were northbound on Norwalk Boulevard here. And now they pitted the guy, and now at gunpoint they are ordering this guy to come out of the vehicle here. Now how this is going to play out, we will see over the course of the next several seconds here. But again, they just pitted the guy as he was completing a right-hand turn eastbound onto Slauson from Norwalk Boulevard here. Now, again, the officers are kind of backing off. They do have guns drawn, and it appears that I don't know if he's going to be pinned in on that driver's side here, because you can see the right front of that Winter Park Police Department cruiser is basically up against that driver door. So it may be a situation where he is not able to open the actual door to get out. So we'll see how they actually work this guy out of the vehicle like normally would. But again, there is a passenger, and that passenger you know, might be ordered to exit the vehicle first, or maybe they're going to get him out of the window. But what they want to do is contain this situation with one suspect at a time. They want to see hands, and they want to contain this situation and control the situation as best they can. Now this is all happening eastbound, on the eastbound side of Slauson Avenue from Norwalk Boulevard, where this guy was just pitted a few minutes ago here. Now the passenger appears to be opening that door. So you see that that passenger door, and the passenger, arms up as ordered, is backing out of the vehicle here. And that is going to be the best possible scenario for that person here, given the fact that you know, this pursuit was going on for so long, and you know, producing so many dangerous situations here. So the passenger is now backing up towards the police officers, and now is going to be hands up, and the arrest team is going to be coming up to, I believe, her, and taking her into custody here. But the driver, we surmise, might end up coming out of that passenger door as well. But again, that passenger has been taken into custody. You see those Baldwin Park police officers kind of getting her hands behind her back, and now that is going to be half the situation diffused. And so now they have, again, to look forward to the driver coming out of that vehicle here, hopefully a situation where they can control and contain the situation as best they can without any harm to any of the public here. But again, that driver still in that vehicle. I don't know if he's actually refusing to come out at this point, or if they just...
Him waving his arms, clearly talking to police, and as you said, Scott, they don't want to hear it right now. Get out of the vehicle and follow their commands. It's really, you know, at that point, it's that simple.
It's very simple, and when you've got, what, half a dozen guns pointed at you, and you don't, you know, follow their commands, I mean, it lets the officers know what they're dealing with. They're not dealing with someone who's, you know, operating under their full capacity, because if you really want to live, and an officer, several of them with guns pointed at you, tell you to do something, you would think the right thing to do would be just obey their orders. So here they're moving in, so it looks like they're not too worried about what the individual's going to do. He's keeping his hands up. It seems like they feel free to move into the vehicle.
Well, there's the possibility they talked to his passenger, and if his passenger gave them some information as to, we don't have any weapons, there is that possibility that maybe that's why they're...
Now he's reaching somewhere, and they are right on him.
Boy, it's a frightening situation, isn't it, to look at this, because we do know that one wrong move, the officers get scared, they fear for their life, they're going to fire. I mean, it's an unfortunate dynamic of what happens in these types of situations. Right. It looks like everything is going as planned, but all it takes is, you know, one really bad move on the part of the suspect, and the officers are in a real tough situation.
Okay, he's climbing over, arms out the window.
Yeah, looking good here as far as the posture of the suspect. We do understand he's a man. His hands are up. Probably be told to back up to officers, to turn around, excuse me, to put his hands up, and then to back up towards the patrol car. That's usually the procedure. Maybe pick up his shirt to make sure that he doesn't have a weapon inside his waistband there. But it looks like hands behind the head. Looks like a young adult male, and following the orders of the officers at this point. I'm pretty sure we're on Washington, just to the east side of Norwalk Boulevard. It's right on the border of Santa Fe Springs and Norwalk, if I'm not mistaken.
And he still seems to be talking to officers as he appears to be following their orders right now, but
I think what you said is perfect. He's still talking, and I think this is an example of what police are facing so many times where we don't see it. This person just is wanting to say something, and probably they not appreciating where the officers are coming from, as you can imagine. I mean, you can't know if this person is armed or not. They've already shown a willingness to put other people at risk with the kind of driving they've had. So it's frustrating, I'm sure, for a lot of people in that area as this kind of plays out, and they're just trying to go about their workday, but they can't because streets are closed.
And this is a tense moment right here. They're getting ready to put him into handcuffs, but he's got to do exactly what they say before they rush up on him. He looks like he's complying. Still talking.
And still talking.
Last bits of freedom. He wants to get out what he has to say, I guess.
Yeah, and it's interesting because usually you see a suspect that will obey a little bit quicker than this. This has taken some time, but it appears that everything has gone as planned as far as the operation of the police officer is concerned. You do a picture-perfect pit maneuver, you get the passenger out without incident, and now you get the suspect, the driver, out without incident, and that's certainly what everybody wanted. Pit maneuvers can be tricky because, you know, this was in an area where if that vehicle would have spun out, it could have went into oncoming traffic, but as I mentioned, the suspect slowed down to a rate that allowed them to do it. Buena Park Police did it what seemed to be perfectly, and now fortunately we have both suspects, or one suspect and the other individual, we're not certain, the woman that was the passenger, in custody at this point. And usually these things can wind down pretty quick when there's not another car involved. They can usually get that vehicle, the suspect vehicle, off to the shoulder and open up traffic so people can get through, and I'm certain they'll do that in this case as well. We don't think there was any accidents. Once again, if you're just joining us, this started in Buena Park as a stolen vehicle, that red Honda Civic. That now is the driver. He is in custody with Buena Park Police.
Eventually comes to his senses and does the right thing.
That's true. We definitely hope he calms down and that he decides to come to a stop once he realizes there's really nowhere to go.
And I think this is Vine, and it looks like that's exactly what's happening. He's pulling over, and this is the most dangerous portion, really, of this because you have civilians in the area, CHP officers. We don't know what's going to happen with the suspect. They are in an overpass here, and it appears as if the passenger has alighted from the vehicle, and the driver is still in the vehicle. Ms. Fajardo, walk us through this felony stop. What happens next?
Definitely, they're just going to be giving commands to the parties in the vehicle, hopefully trying to get them to obey those commands to get on the road so that the officers can make a safe approach and take them into custody.
We saw one of your officers running with some sort of case. Do you have non-lethal weapons at the ready as well for this kind of situation?
Yes, generally we do.
Okay, so obviously now that it looks as though the driver is getting out of the vehicle, arms are in the air. I think the passenger is on the ground. They're having the driver back away from the vehicle to step aside from it, and they're getting
possible here, but you know, that one guy, well, let's see, it looks like he might be coming out of the vehicle here, and so that is certainly some good news there. The door is certainly open. It looks like we have arms out, arms up, and this is some good news here. This is the best possible scenario for this guy here, given the fact that he's been engaging with officers this whole time. But there he goes, arms up. He's backing up towards officers here, and it looks like he is about ready to give up at this point here. You know, given the cat and mouse nature of this pursuit, I'm sure officers are going to be using an abundance of caution here, given the fact that you know, he's been so hit and miss here. Is he going to make a run for the Honda and take off again? But now he's kind of prone down on the floor, right in that turn lane, and it looks like pursuit here, a long game of cat and mouse with the LAPD and the CHP. But there you go, a team of officers kind of assembling here, and they will at some point make their approach to him and to the vehicle to clear the vehicle. Again, we don't know if there was anyone else in the vehicle here. To this point, we believe there was only the driver, but that was never confirmed. So hopefully that remains to be the case. But nevertheless, that will be something that the LAPD deals with at the point that they take the driver into custody. They will, again, clear the vehicle here. But the driver, again, proned out on Sherman Way, just a little bit west of Coldwater Canyon here, where he had a spike strip waiting for him. But there's a team of officers, at least, 5 officers right there, and they're going to make their approach to him, guns drawn, just in case. You know, remember, this guy was reported to have a weapon, a handgun at that point, And so, but it looks like, you know, they will be able to successfully take this guy into custody and in a peaceful manner here. A secondary team of officers you see at the back of the Honda Odyssey, and they are looking in the windows to make sure no one's there, looking for weapons, obviously, but at some point they will give the code 4 just to make sure that everyone is safe and everything is cleared from that vehicle here. But there's the driver in custody. Again, this is going to be on Sherman Way, eastbound, just before Coldwater Canyon, where traffic has come to a standstill as the police officers deal with this. But the best possible scenario here, again, the LAPD and the CHP doing a great job in keeping everyone safe. You know, not to mention the fact that these guys were very patient in their tactics and very skillful in conducting their operation here. But they have taken this guy into custody here. They have essentially cleared the vehicle. And over the course of the next several minutes, hopefully they will have this intersection cleared again. Sherman Way eastbound, right at Coldwater Canyon. Eric?
Hey, David. blowing by the traffic on the freeway right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you think people are going 40, maybe 50 miles per hour on a freeway, and he's just whizzing past these cars. There is some traffic, though, and when that happens, usually we see the drivers during these pursuits, they become even riskier and take, you know, moves that really put people's lives in danger.
He's using the shoulder there.
In order to get around these slow-moving vehicles.
He's driving on the shoulder. Pretty soon, if the freeway is the way I think it is going to run out of room.
Yeah.
So coming up on the Manchester Avenue off-ramp there and just, you know, veering around traffic using the shoulder. And the vehicle looks like it is pretty heavily damaged there, at least on the front end. And now possibly getting off at the Manchester off-ramp off the 110 freeway.
We don't know a whole lot other than this.
Yeah, 5 is just going to maintain 900 here.
Okay, he's talking air traffic control there. Other than the person was wanted for reckless driving, now we're seeing this individual get off this off-ramp, excuse me, and again stopped at, you know, a light behind some traffic.
We've seen one collision so far. We believe there have been others. Trying to go around traffic, driving up onto the dirt part there. Cutting off a car.
Off at Manchester, and it looks like he's going to go west on Manchester, be crossing underneath the 110 freeway here shortly, guys. Crossing underneath the 110 freeway, westbound on Manchester. So we are in the heart of South LA, now westbound on the major street here, and you can see this person fully engaged and completely willing to engage with other vehicles, other commuters on the road here. He just crashed into a parked car a couple of minutes ago. He just collided with a vehicle on the off-ramp for northbound 110 here at Manchester. So there are this is just an exceedingly busy area here. Now southbound on Figueroa. Hang on here, guys. Southbound on Hoover. That's going to be Hoover. Hoover southbound from Manchester now is the direction of this guy. So he is basically making a circle along the 110 corridor, say between Slauson over on the north side and down towards Century on the south side here. But maybe an area of familiarity. We just don't know at this point. Now on the west side of the 110 freeway, southbound on Hoover, coming up towards Century Boulevard again. So let's see if he makes a turn towards us, and that is indeed what he is doing. Now he's making an eastbound turn on one of the numbered streets here, and he is heading over towards the 110 freeway once again here. So in South LA on the west side of the 110 freeway, now an eastbound turn. He's just now coming up on Figueroa here, guys. Coming up on Figueroa, a couple of vehicles, slower traffic in front of him, and it looks like he's going to try and get northbound Figueroa, and he'll be coming up on Manchester in a matter of just a couple of blocks here. He is being pursued by the LAPD here. At least 2 units that are about a block behind him. At any rate, there are at least 2 layers of police helicopter who are also following this guy very closely here. So again, northbound on Figueroa will be coming up on Manchester. Manchester in about a block or so, but you saw that. Wow, he just collided. Had a bad collision there. Looks like he took out that fence, and it looks like he still wants to make a go of it. I've got you there. He still wants to make a go of it here, but is he going to be disabled? We just don't know. We can tell you that a couple of those units have just caught up to him, and it looks like they are going to try and make the stop right here if the suspect indeed complies.
Trying to get down to the feeder road or trying to get down to a surface street. Doors open.
Here's the doors opening right now. The suspect then trying to...
Not getting out just yet, though. He's still going. This will be back into the neighborhood just at the I-45 and 610 interchange, and there he goes. There's an officer.
Oh. Well, we're not sure what's happening.
This may be a citizen that has helped him out. This may be a citizen.
Looks like it.
One person ran off to the right, Don. You see police officers giving chase on foot. One suspect is apprehended. There's now a foot chase going on for the second suspect. There he is running through that building.
That's a policeman.
That's a police officer.
That's a policeman.
In the back
They're looking for the second suspect.
We see some activity to the top of your screen there, Don. Go up a little bit. You see that person running right there?
There's the other suspect right there. White shirt,
hopping a fence now.
Right now.
He's going to be running out of steam here pretty soon.
Running of what appears to be in someone's backyard there in this residential area.
Continuing cops are right behind him. They're about 2 houses away from him, but they've got him.
This appears to be some sort of...
Right between these houses.
Right.
This may be it.
There he is, right there.
No, that's a police officer, I believe, with guns drawn.
We're looking for that suspect in a white T-shirt. It
He's
appears
right
to be a
in
white
this area
T-shirt.
somewhere.
See more officers coming in on the scene. Of course, the HPD helicopter is over there as well, so they'll have that to help them find the suspect. Again, he's wearing a white T-shirt, appeared to be jeans.
There he
ran
is.
out of the...
There he is. He's behind the bushes.
He's behind you. Okay.
There they've got it.
They've got it.
Apprehended. Both. Now it
They've
appears
got it.
both of those
He's on the
suspects
ground.
now in custody.
Yes, I'm on him.
You
It's at 3 o'clock, Mark.
The trees sort of blocking our view there, but you can see through the trees that at least 2 HPD officers now have this second suspect in custody. This was the passenger of the vehicle, the driver of the vehicle. As you mentioned, Don, it looked like a citizen jumped in to help police apprehend the driver of this chase vehicle. Officers getting there, getting that guy to the ground, the citizen moving off, and then the second person, the guy you see being arrested right here, jumped out, and then a small foot chase. It lasted only a couple of minutes before HPD officers able to finally get him in custody.
Yes.
The end of this chase.
That's how. And here is the Good
Go ahead, Don.
Samaritan's car.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's the Good Samaritan standing there that nabbed the driver of the Mercedes and put him on the ground for the police.
And while you're watching this, let's get the folks in the control room possibly to back up the last few moments when that citizen came in so we can see that again. But let's continue to watch this live. That is the vehicle the police were chasing for about 15 to 20 minutes. Chase started right around 10:50, just before our newscast started. We started with this chase and have stayed on it the entire time. We're told that these 2 suspects are possibly bank robbery suspects, and that is why authorities were chasing them. This chase going up 45, making a U-turn, going back onto the north loop, headed westbound to make a U-turn eastbound, make another U-turn in some residential neighborhoods, finally getting back onto the north loop eastbound, and the driver exiting onto the median, trying to get into a residential street right where 45 and 610 split, 45 northbound, going north obviously, and the 610 loop continuing east and westbound, and that is where his car came to a stop because of a Good Samaritan who it appears to us, jumped in to get the guy out.
Here's that video right there where the Good Samaritan then tackles the driver to the ground, the suspect there. Tackles that and then he goes down to the ground after police comes, and you see the passenger then run off, and you see officers wearing bulletproof vests running behind that suspect, who then tries to make a run for it in that residential area there, and they finally catch him there, what appears to be behind a house. And here's that video again of that Good Samaritan stopping his silver car there.
And you see, very dangerous situation there. Police officers have their guns drawn. That officer right there getting that suspect dressed in red on the ground after that Good Samaritan refused to let that guy get away. And that's an officer running around behind that building as the suspect that was in the passenger seat had gotten out, bailed out, started to run. He was in a white shirt. He ran a couple of blocks but didn't get very far. Police right on top of him. There at that intersection, because that is where...
That is the second suspect, by the way.
There you go. There he is right there, the white T-shirt. That's the guy who was on the passenger side, who did manage to get a brief foot chase in after the car came to an end, but obviously he didn't get very far. HPD has him in custody, walking him back now.
You know, and in situations like this, Don, and you can attest to this, that you worry not only about the drivers, obviously, but especially when suspects are going at such high rate of speed, but you also worry about the police officers who are trying to apprehend, you know, a suspect who's on the run like this, and then a foot chase.
And you can also imagine the radio traffic between the officers because he made a couple of turns, and with this very powerful Mercedes got away from HPD for a short while. And I know that we did our best to try to help them nab the suspect and steer them in the right direction. They finally caught up to him thanks to the Fox helicopter, the HPD helicopter. And so we've got them all both in custody, and all is good. There's a City of Bel Air Police Department here as well. So as you can tell, lots of different agencies here on the scene joining in this chase, but we finally got them both into custody, and I'm glad to report.
And Don, that may give us some indication as to where this chase started. They are putting him in the back of a City of Bel Air police cruiser at this moment. This is the passenger who gave a foot chase just after the car chase came to an end. So Bel Air PD is putting him in the back of their cruiser, one might imagine that this chase started with a problem in Bel Air. And again, we do believe that these are bank robbery suspects. We're certainly checking that now in our newsroom to find out exactly where this started. But as you mentioned, those are Bel Air Police Department cars and Bel Air Police Department officers who are now handling. That is the second suspect, the one who's in the passenger seat who bailed out after the car came to a stop.
And I would imagine that is the gentleman you guys are speaking of that apparently was able to stop these guys and help officers apprehend these two suspects. But we were being told by police to sort of take a step back because they are trying to block off a certain portion of this crime scene now. So we're trying to give you guys a close enough.
You have officers with their guns drawn, and now you have this is incredible. Somebody now tackling this guy onto the hood of an LAPD patrol car.
Wow.
Officers with their guns drawn. Obviously another unstable individual. I mean, this is just unbelievable. You have one unstable individual, now two people under arrest after a slow-speed pursuit, the likes of which we have not seen here as far as I can remember. This is just totally bizarre. Now two people under arrest, one person doing everybody a favor by bringing this pursuit to an end, but not the way anybody would anticipate, and certainly not the way LAPD would encourage for anybody to behave, especially in the middle of Ventura Boulevard traffic. So now you have a little bit of a crowd forming. They're going to try and keep people on the sidewalk. But if you can roll, I don't know if we're able to roll that tape again. That was incredible to see another clearly unstable individual. Not sure if this is a homeless man, but he appears to be clearly under the influence of something as well. Walking in front of traffic, walking in front of this convertible. You saw the driver in the convertible put his hands up at that point as he was sitting in the driver's seat, and then almost as if that unstable individual in front of the car was making a citizen's arrest, he just tackled him onto the hood of the LAPD cruiser. And Chuck, Carolyn, I'm at a loss for words. This is
I haven't seen anything. I'm standing next to Fritz Coleman. I don't know how many of these we've watched, Fritz. I've never seen anything like this.
I mean, my pilot, Alex Krewall, and myself are both on the edge of hysterics here, cracking up. This is just incredible to watch, and you got to admit, I mean, it brings a smile to your face to see all of this, you know, commotion going on down there. But certainly police were faced with a decision there, and they had an opportunity to bring it to an end, and they did just that without anybody getting hurt.
Well, it's interesting that the citizen was cuffed. He is in that Ford, that vehicle, the black and white unit. They've taken him away. They've taken the other guy away. And then another officer got in the Mustang, which we're presuming it's a Mustang, and then drove it over to the side of the road there. Now we got all these people out.
Yeah, and more LAPD units arriving out here now. You now have a crowd building, and they don't want to see that either. You know, we've seen situations where, you know, a restless crowd could, you know, get out of hand, even though they're just kind of watching and taking pictures. The LAPD, I think, is going to try and clear Ventura Boulevard as soon as possible, get a tow truck out here to get this Mustang out of here, and hopefully business can resume as normal on a Friday night, or as normal as they can be on Ventura Boulevard.
Heck of a way to start the Memorial Day weekend, isn't it?
I tell you, this is a new one on me, Chuck. Again, you see more LAPD units arriving. The priority has to be, now there you see the other individual now with his hands cuffed behind his back, and he'll be taken into custody as well. And it'll be very interesting to see what charges he may possibly be faced with. I don't want to presume anything, but it's certainly...
Well, he could be charged with interfering. There's a charge with interfering with officers in a pursuit. Yep. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I know there is something when you interfere with law enforcement.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That, I mean, he's definitely, you know, on one hand, yeah, he's definitely broken some rules here, but on the other hand, he's kind of the hero of the hour for saving us from a prolonged slow-speed chase that could have gone well into Burbank. I mean, yeah, this was just, it was just so unpredictable, not knowing what was going through that